for people just as a context.
That's an example of where I love the course because I had the time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what what we do in the second session was to sit there and say, I mean, basically, let's just start there, that what the course is basically saying is, hello, are you in there? And since
and who
19,
are you?
Since 19, when did I first wake up? 71,
72?
72. I woke up, I realized, like you said, I'm in there, right?
Hello.
I would ask people all these years, hello, are you in there? Do you know that no one ever said no? No one ever said no to the question.
What do you mean by that, though?
Hi, are you in there?
Who are you?
All right. So just whoever you are, you know you're in there. What's it like in there? And that's what the course does. What's it like in there? What's your experience of being in there? And what you realize is, well, I experience the outside world, but that's not all I experience. I have a mind going on in there, and I have this thing called a heart that emanates emotions. And that's your experience, is that you are in there experiencing these things. And then in the course, each session, we take one of those things at a time, right? To say, well, what really is the mind? What really is the outside world? What really is your heart? And what is your relationship to it? And what can be your relationship to it, right? So you're asking about the section that said, what is the world? And it has helped me so much in my growth to keep that perspective, right? And you sit there and you realize, did you make the moment in front of you? Tony, you're very powerful. People see you're very successful, right? How much of this that you see in front of you did you make? Did you invent the camera?
No.
Did you invent these people? Do you know them? Right? You know what I'm saying? The entire thing around you has nothing to do with you.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yes, that's
right? And yet, I love what you said. You define the only way you're going to be okay is if it's exactly the way you made up.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to be doing it too
absurd.
well.
Yeah.
All right? And so you ask the real question of, why is it the way it is? Where did it come from?
Yes.
And that course starts back with cosmology. It starts with the Big Bang. Because all scientists agree that's where it came from. Well, what does that mean, right? And you come back out of the cosmic soup, all right? And basically these atoms get created. You didn't do that, did you? I don't think she did either, right? And all this goes, and then they bond together because of the laws of electromagnetics, right? The way the atoms get together, the electrons get together, and all of quantum physics and all that stuff. You have to understand it. You just understand you didn't do it, nor did Einstein. Nor did the quantum physicists that named it quantum or particles, right? The quantum particles. They didn't do it. It happened by itself through all these years, right? And then eventually it made this molecule called DNA.
Yeah.
Whoa, right? And that DNA created every single animal and humans and why your eyes are blue. You didn't do any of it. Yeah. So for 13.8 billion years, this went on, right? And the end result is in front of you. How do you not go, wow? I mean, the one that I really see people's mouth drop. So I sit there and say, wait a minute, if you don't get this, right? If your great-great-great-grandmother didn't meet your great-great-great-grandfather, you ain't here.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they go, whoa. That's true of everything. If they, I sometimes, I don't know if I told the story in the course, but I make up a story, right? That there were dinosaurs in Florida. Okay? And there were dinosaurs. Did I tell the story, right? And one dinosaur during a mud storm stepped his big foot somewhere, right? And of course the water went in and this and that. That's where Lake Okeechobee came from. Right? Some of it's
Down
true.
the corner here from our house.
Right? It's true, right? Every single thing happened by itself. And now you drop down with your consciousness, and what's there now after 13 billion years comes into your consciousness, and all you do is compare it against what you made up. You compare it against your past experiences of like and dislike, and you get mad at the way it is, or you run after it.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy to fight what life has given us as opposed to appreciate what life's given us and figure out how to utilize what life's given us.
The key is to sit there and say, would I rather be on Mars or in empty outer space and have nothing going on? No.
Yeah.
But this is the gift that was given to me, the moment in front of you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But it's not what I wanted. What are you, a 2-year-old?
Yes.
Like, it has nothing to do with what you wanted.
Yeah.
But the only way I can be happy is what I wanted. You did that.
Yes.
Why don't you sit there and say, I want it to be the way it is so that I can have the honor of appreciating what 13.8 billion years and all of physics and science created for me to play with, learn from, challenge by. Right? It's like a sport.
Yeah.
Nobody says it has to be the way you want. When you play sports, the other team's not going to do what you want or think.
That's right.
You got to be on your toes and enjoy the experience and be in the zone, right?
Yeah.
You should live in the zone.
Yeah.
You can't do that if what you've done is developed a mindset that's saying the only way going to be okay is if it's this way, right? So that's where your 13.8 billion years comes from, right?
And that notion, Mickey, for myself in the course you get in life and we can all innocently and ignorantly fall asleep, and you get up and you see your partner, your spouse, you go to work, you come home, and there's just this monotonous energy that we can all fall asleep in. And what I so loved in the beginning, I said, if you were my science teacher in school, I would have been obsessed because it just gave this broader understanding. But in that broader understanding that gave perspective and just going out further, it created more awe. It created more wonder for just life itself, for actually living and breathing. I remember one of the first times I was ever in India, we went to Varanasi. And I was standing there, and there was just like this sea of humans that looks like chaos, and yet everything's all just happening perfectly. Yeah. And I'd never felt more insignificant in the most beautiful way. Like, it was just a sense that whether I'm here or not, all this life is happening. And I felt that you demonstrated that in a way, in such in like literally where we, like life itself, something's beating this heart, and we don't even have an awareness and appreciation of that. And so that just really, it brought more awe and wonder and just humility of just this miracle beautiful. Of life in itself. And you did such a masterful job in your, just in your own passion and enthusiasm came through that it engaged us in such a beautiful way. And I loved every minute. I loved truly.
That's beautiful. And the examples, you remind me of what we talked about in the courses. Like, there's something like 10 trillion cells in your body that are communicating, working, living, breathing, eating, and so on.
You're not controlling any of it.
That's right.
It's all done perfectly.
None, right? And you sit there and you say, well, I need the business to be this way, right? When was the last time you thanked your liver? Wasn't that you think your spleen and pancreas? If they went wrong, you ain't got no business. That's right. Right? That's and right. You start just take it all for granted. Yes. And then your mind defines this little tiny thing saying, I'm only okay if this happens. Yes. Yeah. Why are you doing that? So it doesn't mean that you're not a great business person or a great athlete or so on. It just means you unburden yourself from this negativity that the mind is creating and the limitation of saying, I'm only okay if this happens, right? Now you can bring your whole being into the decision-making process, into the sports process, into your relationships, instead of trying to use the outside to compensate for the problems you're having. It's a whole different life, isn't it?
Completely different. It's people in our culture have been conditioned to value things different than what really matters. And it's like even happiness is poo-pooed, and happiness is an advantage. Happy people have better relationships. Happy people, you want to be around them. Happy people are better parents. Happy people do better in business. Happy people have more connections. Happy people have more health. And so the question that you're asking really is, what's keeping me from the happiness? And some people think it was airy-fairy, but what you really got to see is it's your constriction of everything having to be a certain way for you to be happy. That's the only thing getting in the way. And if you can learn to appreciate whatever life is offering you right now, you can still appreciate, use it, and then shape what you're capable